Hello everybody, we're back. So it's several weeks later after removing the front beam on our Beetle, and it's been several weeks of just cleaning parts and getting them ready to go back on. I wanted to spare everybody all the cleaning. You know how to clean parts. There's a lot of degreasing and sandblasting and painting, but I think we finally got everything back together. So we're to the point where I believe we're ready to start assembling this beam back together. So we got our parts all laid out here, as you can see. We've got everything ready to go. The front spindles have been sandblasted and ready to go. I am going to do a front disc brake conversion on this while I'm at it, so I've bought a kit for that to switch over to disc brakes. We're going to put that on. We'll see how that goes, using the empty adapters, using the normal spindles for drum brakes. And of course I've cleaned all those up. We've cleaned our sway bar back here and bought some new bushings for that. Here's all of our tie rods, and so you can see we've got the smaller and the longer one, and some new tie rod ends for all that. And here's the arms, the control arms, upper and lower ones. They're all ready to go, and I've pressed all the new ball joints into them. And of course that can be a job in and of itself. And so I strongly recommend, if you don't have a way to do this, that you work on or take it to somebody that can do it, because it's a little bit tricky. There are other videos out there on taking the old ones out, putting them in, some even without a press. I did buy a Harbor Freight 12-ton press just to do that with, and so it's gonna, I mean, it really was a lifesaver to just get the press myself, and nothing I could do with those rental tools would ever work. Then we've got the shock absorbers. So I initially had bought some aftermarket shock absorbers that were just normal shocks, and I bought these because these rubber mounting bushings for the top of the shock, I bought these thinking I would need them because they were on the old ones, right? But the shocks I got to use them with were standard shocks, and they don't go together. And so I wanted to keep it kind of original. Now originally these shocks would have been Sox brand, but I found some nice aftermarket TRW ones still. New old stock TRW isn't around anymore, but I found these, and we're going to mount these to the top so it's more like the original. And so those are ready to go. My steering box is like looking fantastic. It was caked on with everything, and now it's been completely cleaned and repainted, and we'll probably make some adjustments to that as well, but it's ready to go as well. New dampener for the steering. Of course, these are the seals for the beams. I got a new kit for bug pack, kit for the steering bushing, and then here's the various mounting rubbers for dampening. Right, we got the grub screws all cleaned up for the beam and the mounting screws, and so we're about ready to do something here and make some progress here, which is a welcome thing. And here's the beam all ready to go, and so I'm going to set up here with someone else holding the camera, and we're going to try to do the initial piece of this, which I'm going to try to go ahead and start with putting Zerks in the back of this so that we can eventually squirt some grease in there. So I'll bring you right back. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to try to do is put new grease fittings in here, the Zerks. Of course, this didn't come with any, and so I've got to put some in that so we can eventually grease this up. But the problem is this beam is not like the factory original one, and the Zerk fittings that came out of the old beam won't just thread into here, but despite what the company I bought off of, which was CIP1, says, they don't fit. Trust me, they're too big, they won't go in there. These are already threaded, but it's a strange thread. It's like a 7mm or somewhere between 7 and 8. I couldn't find any SAE thing that fit. I don't understand it. So what I'm doing is I'm tapping these holes out, and I'm tapping them out to a size that, where'd the card go? Hold on a second. We'll put that there. I'm tapping these out to M8 with 1.0 threads, and those Zerks for those are pretty readily available. Now I already did the other side over there, so I just got to do these two. And so we're going to use the drill with a tap in it and see if we can get this in here as straight as possible too, which is always a troublesome thing since these are at an angle. So let's see what we can do here.
Just giving more leverage.
Okay. It should just right in there now. Like that. Snugged up good. Okay. Now we gotta do this one. It's a little hard to get it started, but okay, that was easy. It was no problem. All right, so enough of that. So now I think we're ready to start greasing up some bearings first, and see if we can't get the big leaves or the big torsion springs in here. So let's go get them. Okay, we want to get these bearings. The good thing about these empty beams is they do come with the needle bearings in them, which is fantastic, and it's also got the bushing way in there. But of course you got to grease them up. It's a little harder than a regular bearing where you can cup it in your hand or use something to load the bearings with grease. So we're just going to try to do our best and squish them in there as best we can. It's going to be a little messy, but you gotta get in there good. You don't want to miss any spots. Comes the grease, I think. There's no such thing as too much. These are going to be bouncing up and down a lot, so I want to make sure that there's absolutely no wear. Of course, that's what grease does for you, is takes the friction out, and that's what bearings do too. All right, well, it's tasty enough for me. We'll go do the other side. Okay, I got my spring torsion. We're going to try to start on one of these. Doesn't matter which one, I think, but I'm going to put the top of it. Now, I cleaned the grease off of this torsion bar a little bit. I think I'm going to go ahead and stick some more on it before I stick it in here. Of course, we're going to be using those zerks to load it up. So I think the rule of thumb is, when you're working on this, these dimples are very important. Obviously, this dimple has to go to the back because that is where the grub is in the middle to lock it down. So it has to go to the back. Now, you got to be careful how this is flipped, right? Because you can have it in there upside down and backwards. So as long as you've got this dimple lined up in the back down here, I think the rule of thumb is if you're on the driver's side, okay? So I'm sitting over here on the driver's side. The front of the vehicle is that way, that direction. When I put this in, if you're on the driver's side, you want the dimple right here to face towards the back of the car. Now on the passenger side, you can see there's no dimple. It's actually facing the road, right? Whatever's in front of the car. So you just got to remember that when you put it in. So now, first thing I'm going to do, of course, is I'm going to put a lot more grease on this. Put some new grease on it. Now it's going to get all messy again. Like I said, we're going to put some grease inside the thing, but I'm going to grease it up really good. Because it was covered with grease when I took it out. Pretty sure it needs grease. Squeeze that too, just to try to force grease down in between the pieces of metal. Okay. Alright, so it should go in like this. Again, the dimple is on the back here. I'm hoping I can get it through everything with that crazy zip tie on there. Of course, I used like the biggest zip tie. Yeah, I think I'm going to take the tie off of there because it's interfering with everything. Come on. There we go. All right, there's one. Squaring up those ends a little bit. All right, looking pretty good. Straight up and down. Okay, so we're going to try to see if we can't line these torsion bars up. And if you look over here, of course, in the middle here, we took out some big grub screws earlier, and this is where we're going to try to find the dimple in here and line it up, and then put the the grub screws in there to hold it in place. So we're gonna use this little camera for that. And of course, we want to move this to where you can see the dimple. Oh, I can't see nothing here.
What's wrong? Oh, okay. Tell me to see it. Is that better?
Look right there.
Okay. Got it?
Okay.
Focus.
Is that it?
I have no idea. No, it needs to go left more. My left.
Your left is up and down. I don't know what you mean.
That way, towards the wall.
Okay.
I can see it right there. I can see it. Oh, there, right there.
Like right there?
Oh, no, back the other way.
I think that's good enough right there.
Well,
it looks
I can
good
still
according
see
to
the
the camera.
edge. My eyeballs are more trustworthy. Oh, too far. Oh, too far.
The grub will draw it in.
Okay, then it's fine.
Right there. All right, let's do the other one while we're at it.
Okay, I think it might be
Moving closer.
I think that one might already be.
It's nothing
not
close.
lined up.
This is sticking out a lot more than the other one.
Okay. Well, here it comes. Stop. That looks good.
Does that look good?
Yep, that looks perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
I know
than the
that
last
video
one.
was a little bad, but because we got grease all over it, but the dimples there, trust me. All right, we're just gonna put these in there. These are long. Wow, these are long. Okay, here we go. We're hitting it now. I'm just gonna snag it a little bit. I don't want to tension it too much just because out on the ends, I'm afraid the springs will start deforming and warping. So for initial starters, we're just gonna put them in there, snug them up really good, keep them in the center, and then we'll torque them better later. Just a little bit. Give it a chance. I can see it. Oh, let's go down farther than that. There you go. That's be a third. I need to get one of these. It's a 6mm. I'm just going to go ahead and put these on just for posterity so we don't lose them. And we'll tighten those up better later. Don't let me forget that, people. They're probably pretty snug already, but I just want to make sure I torque them properly. And then use these lock nuts to make sure nothing comes out again. All right, we'll tighten those up later. Okay, next order of business, we're going to put these new seals on here. So we'll make sure we don't let any grease get out. I've never even had these out of the package, obviously, so.
You want to take that off first?
All right, so there are lower and upper ones, so you got to make sure you put the right ones in the right places. And guess who bought 4 lower ones? Yeah, didn't know they were different. I think it's all on there. There we go. Probably. That was tough. All right, so the top one's a little bit different than the bottom one. It flares out down here. The top one's just a regular one. Let's see if we have trouble with this one like we did. Yep, that's better. All right, now I think we're ready to put some control arms on. All right, we're going to start with a lower control arm, which is this one here. This should be the one for this size. And I think I'm going to grease it up a little bit. Just like that. And I'll stick it in there. Now keep in mind, we do have this divot on the back, and it's about right in here. And so I'm going to put this in and try to line it up. Okay. Okay. So back here, you can't see it yet because we're not in quite far enough, but we're lining up this hole where the grub screw goes with the divot that's on the back. So let me get it in there a little farther because you can't even see it yet. I don't see it yet. All right, it's getting really close. You can see it in there. Yeah, we're really close, so it needs a little bit more finessing. Yep, I'd say that's about it right there. All right, so now we're going to take a grub screw, go ahead and put that in there and tighten it down. Again, we need to figure out some torque specs, and I'll let you know what those are when I figure them out. Avon ladies here. All right, let me see if I can get something to tighten that with. Okay, again, we'll figure out what the torque specs are on that, and then we'll tighten this down. Actually, we'll cut away and do that right now because it's kind of important. We want to know what they are. Okay, so we're going to torque this down. The torque spec for the grub screw and also the lock nut as well is 29 to 36 foot-pounds. So you want to turn it over here so you can see what I'm doing here. Make sure they don't want to see my face. Okay. Now we'll get something for the lock screw.
You are ill-prepared.
I know. 19, everything's a 19 or a 17.
Yeah, you only had a break.
All right. Very good. All right. Now we're just going to do the same thing with the upper control arm here. Put this on here. Yeah, it went right in there. Didn't even have to hammer it. And we got lots of. All right, it's on. Now we're just going to repeat that. We're just going to repeat that same process now on the other side. All right, as you can see on the other side, you can see it a little better, but you've got that grub, that dent there showing through in the spring torsion, and we're just going to stick the grub in there. All right, so we've got the, let's see, this will be the driver's side steering knuckle here, and we're going to stick the bottom one on first. We'll see if that was a good decision. It's a smaller washer, which is a thinner one. There's a fat one that goes on the top one. And this is a lock nut, so it's going to start biting. Now the torque on this is exactly the same as the grub screws. This might be a little tricky because I may need to. Now the torque for the top one is different, so keep that in mind. Oh, I have to put it on first. So the way these work is they've got an Allen head in it, so I'm going to need to get a 19 wrench and an Allen wrench to hold that so it doesn't spin around. Now, if you don't have a 19 that size, use a 3/4 inch SAE, which is what I'm using right here.
Stubby would have worked.
All right, see if we can torque this down now. Oh, yeah. All right, so the top, this is where it gets dicey because you have to lift everything up. So this is a camber adjuster. You can see that hole is offset, so you move this around and it's going to move this in and out like this. So we'll have to adjust that. Once we get it together, we're going to adjust that to get it as level as we can. Okay, I've leveled this whole jig, so we're going to try and make this level. The tricky part's going to be getting this in that hole because everything's under tension. So this may take a couple of us to accomplish, or I'm going to have to use a 2x4 through here or something to lift this up, and that's probably what I'll do, to lift this arm up so we can get it lined up with this and get it all together. Okay, so we got to get this in here. I'm putting a 2x4 here for leverage. I'm going to get Minnie to help me do this. I'm going to push up on this thing right here. I'm going to try to guide things into the right place they need to go.
Brad just has a nail right here.
Yeah, watch out for that nail.
Yeah, that sounds really safe.
All right, you got to go that way and then lift.
Up, I'm going up. Hit shifting.
There you go.
Try my best. My best isn't good
Why
enough.
don't you direct this?
That sounds like a great idea.
Your best isn't good enough. All right, ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Get that glue out of there. I'm going to smash it over there. And move that board a little forward. There you go. All right.
Now
Yeah, ooh, careful. Could have killed you.
I almost died.
Oh.
What are we doing?
Okay.
It's
See if you can lift that up.
this.
Yeah. There you go. There we go.
Ah!
Look how easy that was.
Oh. It wants to come out of that thing.
It was.
Quick, screw something in there.
It'll be fine. Ta-da!
That was easy.
It wasn't too bad. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Okay. Now, we have to level this with this camber adjust. I probably should have put a little oil on that thing. That would have been good.
Well, yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Alright. So now we're going to try to turn this and get it level-ish. This isn't exactly the right size to use, but that's looking fairly spot on. I'm going to use another level just to double check the bubble one.
Yes, it's a huge bubble up there.
You can see it's not right. So see that?
Yeah, I see that. That's good.
Alright, that looks good right there.
Okay.
Very good. Now, we just need to tighten that down some more. And again, I'm not sure how in the world I would ever torque that correctly. This is what I'm going to do. Alright, now we're all squared up and that one's all ready to go. Now we're just ready to do the other side. We'll do it the same way, and then we'll come back and talk about doing the maybe we'll do the brakes next. We could do this steering here and then this, but I think I want to do the brakes next. So one thing I should have done on the other side that I didn't. It's a good idea to put a little grease on this, keep it from rusting or corroding or anything. Plus it'll make it easier to turn when you're doing the adjustment. Okay, so we're switching to or disc brakes, as I said, and so the first thing we've got to do is press the bearings inside of here. So I've got two of them here. One of these is an A1 if you're keeping track, and this is a part number LM11749. This is a national, or LM11710 is the other thing that's on the other side of this. But on the box, it's listed as an A1. So if you go to O'Reilly's or something, A1 is what you want. The one that goes on the inner is a bigger one, and it's rated as an A15. So if you're looking for that, it's an A15. And let me see, the number on this is something like what is it? L541D, I think, or 10. That one doesn't have any. Oh no, here's the one that makes sense. L45449 is another part number that's on this thing. But again, at O'Reilly's it's A15A1. So they make these tools that you can rent in order to press bearings, and you buy this and you just hammer it to hammer your bearings in. There's a bunch of little discs in here that you pick out the right size disc you need for the race that you're putting in there. We'll tighten this down here in a minute, but so for example, for this little outer bearing, it's this size of a race, and it's going to go in just like that. And so you want something that'll fit on, so you can hammer it in there. Now I'm not going to hammer it all the way in there. I probably could, actually it might be easier. We'll give it a couple of whacks and see if it goes in normally. I do have a press though, so if any of these get hairy, I might just take it in the press and just stick it down. But let's try hammering this one. See if we can hammer it straight enough to get it in there without any trouble. And it is not in all the way. I'm getting it a little crooked. So I think I'm going to go over and probably take it to the press and use the press to push it in the rest of the way. All right, that's in. All the way. No problem. Now, we're going to do the other side.
That feels good.
There you go.
Could you pull it? Could you pull?
All right, try it. Well, is it or isn't it?
Oh, it's in there.
Oh, it's there. Okay,
Right.
got these both pressed in there. So now I got to pack the bearing. And to pack the bearing, you just want to put grease in your hand and you want to squish it into all these little bearing wheels. Try to get it in the sides. It's got to be going all the way through. Ideally, you want to squish it in the side so it seeps out the top. So that's messy again. I hate grease. This is the inside bearing here. You can see as I'm squishing it in there, it's literally squishing out the front. And you know you got it good in there. Okay. And that looks pretty good. I'm going to put a little right in here. And then we'll just stick him down in there on the race. That's done. Now all we got to do is put the seal on here.
Man, it's like that's a lot. Might not be that necessary, as much gunk as you got in here already.
Take some out of there because it's not biting around the edges.
Okay.
Oh, okay,
There you go.
There you go. This side, this side. This side. There you go. Almost all the way down.
You don't have glasses on. Maybe if I had glasses on it'd help. I could see.
Here,
them
hammer
clearly.
it like that.
Oh, that'd help a lot.
Don't hurt me.
Well, watch your hands out.
Okay, that's scaring me.
Oh, scary.
Can't tell if it's good or not. Good, okay.
I sound like I'm playing the brake drum.
It does sound like that, doesn't it?
Okay.
Okay, so this is the normal brake drum style spindles that these empty kits come with, and it's really not a full empty kit, but I'm using empty plates. But they come with this plate that allows you to put a brake caliper on here. And the bolts line up. Normally there'd be a brake drum backing plate bolted here with these 3 bolts, but the empty plate fits right over that. So these are M10s, 1.5s, I believe, and not these. The original bolts had smaller heads on them, and so I've got ones with bigger heads, so I gotta be careful here, because there's a possibility that if the heads are too big, the rotor won't fit back into this cavity and it needs to. So we're gonna keep an eye on that. Make sure it fits. If it doesn't, then we're gonna have to get the old bolts back out with smaller heads and clean them up. All right. I have a suspicion that these are not going to work. But now these are 36 foot-pounds. Okay, about like that. I can see that's barely gonna, I don't know, we'll see. I'm gonna turn it where the flat side is out. And I think that's our best chance of getting these big bolts to work. Alright, let's see if it fits. So now that this is on, we're gonna take a rotor and try to put it on. Let's see what happens. Yeah, that's no problem. Okay, you guessed it. Once again, we got to grease this bearing. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one freehand here. No gloves. Okay. Yummy. Gross. I'm gonna get some. Alright, so now I'm cleaned off a little bit. We'll go ahead and put this washer on here. There we go. Now be sure you get the right one of these, because one of them's left-hand thread. It's got a big L on it. This one's the correct one for this side. You don't want that too tight, really. I'm going to get a little wrench here, and I'm just going to snug it barely, and then we're going to tighten that clamp down. You don't want it too tight. You want it to set against those bearings, but you don't want it over tightened, because it presses those bearings together. Alright, let's see if it's this one. It's about 7 to 10 foot-pounds for this screw here. And it is a Allen wrench. There we go. That's probably good enough. Alright, make sure it spins good, and this does. I am going to have to hit it with some brake parts cleaner, but it's all ready to go. Okay, now we got the plates on. They're all torqued up. Now it's time for the brake caliper. So this should fit right on here. As you can see, it does. Alright, so we're going to take 2 of these M10. The kit usually comes with them. Okay, we're going to snug these up. Okay. See that it's 36. Oh yeah. I'm gonna give it a little more than 36 there. Okay. All right. Bingo. All right. That side's done besides the dust cap. So we can top that on there.
Oh, there he goes again with the loop.
It's supposed to have grease on it anyway.
You say, oh, wait, what? It is supposed to?
I don't think so.
Then why didn't you put grease in it?
But okay, we're gonna put some grease on this just to keep it from rusting.